Hey everybody, this is a video on how to maintain your sourdough starter. So I keep a jar of sourdough discard in my fridge. So this is everything that I throw away from my regular feeding of sourdough. And then this jar, which is just a small 4-ounce wide mouth mason jar, is what I actually maintain on a daily basis. So you have to feed your starter every day. Sometimes I do it every other day depending on how busy I am. But this is all I keep throughout the week. And then when I go to bake a bread, you essentially double or triple this amount to use for your bread baking. So it's pretty easy as far as your daily feedings. So you have your feeding here. What I do is take everything but 3 ounces of it and I add it to my discard jar. The reason I do this is because you're going to feed this at a ratio of a part starter to a part water to a part flour. So I do typically a 1-10-10 ratio. So I do 1 part starter, 1 part water, and 1 part flour. So I typically do 3 ounces of starter and then 3 grams of starter, then 30 grams of water, and then 30 grams of flour. So I will just show you, this is daily what I do typically every morning when I make my coffee. It only takes a few minutes. So I'll take my jar that I have started here and I'll essentially empty almost all of it. I recommend weighing your jars so you know what this jar weighs until you get used to it. But essentially it looks like there's nothing left in this jar, but this is roughly 2 to 3 grams of starter. And this is all you need to maintain a healthy starter between your bakings. So I'm going to put this on my scale and zero that out. This I will then just put back into my fridge. This is sourdough discard, which essentially just means it's unfed starter. I use this for sourdough pancakes, sourdough chocolate chip cookies. What else? Sourdough muffins, sourdough bread rolls, stuff like that. You could feed this, if you accidentally killed this, you could actually feed this and then it will awaken. So I've zeroed out my scale and I know I have about 3 grams. This is not exact science, so whether you have 2 grams or 6 grams is not really going to matter as long as it's fed at a high ratio. So I'm going to add 30 grams of water. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. Just give that a quick stir and loosen up some of that sourdough starter. And then I will zero out my scale again. And this is just a jar that I keep handy of bread flour. And then I'm going to dump in 30 grams of flour. So essentially on a daily basis, this is the only amount of flour I'm using. So I'm using about 2 tablespoons of flour. That way you're keeping a small starter to feed every day, so it's not that expensive. Essentially you are throwing some of this away, but it's just 2 tablespoons a day, which is not a big cost. So you are going to mix this until it's like peanut buttery is the best way to describe it. This is what it would look like. So kind of like a stiff peanut butter. This will all go towards the bottom. You don't have to get all of it perfectly level. In the beginning, if you want to mark where your starter starts, it should at least double in size every day. I don't do that anymore just because I know if it gets up to here that I'm fine, and I know that this is going to rise every day. So that's how you maintain your starter, and then I just keep this on my counter. You want a loose lid, so I just place the mason jar lid on top of that, and then I put that in my bread storage. And that's it. Bread box, thank you. So that's it for your daily feedings. I can start another series on actually making your sourdough, but I think I'm going to start giving some of this away or selling it. I have started dehydrating this so I could mail it off to people that aren't local. And that's essentially it. Just a reminder that this is flour and water, which essentially turns into like concrete. So when you're washing off your supplies, you want to make sure to use a paper towel first and wipe off all of that sourdough starter so it doesn't go down your drain, because it'll eventually build up in your drains and you're gonna have some issues. So that's it for maintaining your sourdough starter.